Ah, okay. All right. Let me calm down. We're having a party in here.
Welcome back to the Underdog Podcast, where we shine a light on resilient journeys and celebrate the stories of those who rise despite the odds. I'm your host, Bolahan Hosseini, and today's guest is a powerful example of what it means to stay rooted, rise up, and give back. Ono was born and raised in Nigeria before moving to the US as a teenager. Though he built a successful career as an engineer, his passion for entrepreneurship and community always burned beneath the surface. After years of experience managing bars and sharpening his business instincts, Ono launched Levels, a now iconic restaurant in downtown St. Louis that's redefining the local food scene with bold, authentic Nigerian flavors. In just 2 years, Levels has done more than just serve food. It sparked a cultural revival and breathed life into a part of the city many had written off. Today, we're diving into the story behind the struggle, the pivot from engineering to hospitality, and the mindset that helped Ono go from underdog to undeniable. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Is that about me?
That's about you, sir.
That's pretty good. That was pretty good. Well
I
written.
appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you for having me. I know that it's been a while trying to piece this together, so I'm glad that we're able to finally sit down and talk and chat a bit.
No, I am too, man. As I was reading your intro, a lot of people are probably wondering, man, how do you go from engineering and say, you know what, scrap that? I think you used to work at what was the name of the company now?
Well, I worked at Boeing for a while,
Yeah.
and then I worked at Worldwide Technology for a while as well.
Man, I mean, to walk away, I mean, that takes a lot of guts, man.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it was
so,
definitely a leap of faith.
yeah.
I won't say that those decisions were made lightly,
Hmm.
but I'll let you ask your question. I don't know if you asked the question
No,
yet.
that was it. Go
Okay.
ahead. Feel free. Feel free to
So
talk.
yeah, it was definitely a leap of faith. I didn't take those decisions lightly, but one thing that has occurred to me is as I was going through college, as I was going through my career as an engineer and other businesses that I did in between, I was always reverting back to hospitality
Hmm.
and nightlife and events and hosting and all of those kind of things. It was always in the background. So either I would work all day and then go host an event, or I'd work all week and have an event over the weekend. And I always knew that that was kind of like what I wanted to go back to and what I wanted to do. So even though it was a leap of faith, I felt like it was a long time coming. I had always, even when I was in engineering school, I would go to school all week and drive back to St. Louis from Rolla. I went to
Hmm.
Missouri S&T, by the way.
Shout out.
Drive back from Raleigh to St. Louis to do whatever I needed to do for the weekend, make enough money to pay my rent and all of those things, and then drive back to school to go take an engineering test or
Hmm.
finish all of those things. So, I had a moment where I thought to myself, I was like, oh no, you keep coming back to this. You've been coming back to this for many, many years. And levels, I knew where levels could go.
Right.
And I said to myself, this is going to require your time and
Hmm.
all that you have. And so for the first time in a long time, why are you trying to do both? Why don't you just focus and do this?
Hmm.
And that helped me, of course, with my support system and family and everybody around me. That helped me make that decision to say, you know what, let's focus on this and let's really make levels what I know it can be. And that's why I made the decision and so to speak, jumped off the porch.
Hey, I mean, it's taking off, man. I saw you had falls in the building. Was it a
Yes,
couple weeks
Falls that
ago?
guy came hung
I,
out with
I,
us. That was
I
good.
saw you doing your thing.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads me to my next question. I mean, obviously everybody's seeing the glory, they're seeing you take off, they're seeing
Mm-hmm.
what levels has transformed into in just such a
Mm-hmm.
short time. But can you share with us what are some of the biggest challenges you faced getting levels off the ground, personally or even professionally?
Yeah, a couple of things. Of course, funding was huge. I had saved up money. I had to bring in an investor, which was my brother, and it
Okay.
was a pretty huge investment. But we wanted Levels not only to be a cultural center for food, but Levels is also kind of like a real estate deal too, because we actually purchased the space.
Wow.
So that, we kind of went all in on that, but that put us in a driver's seat to where we could really control our destiny. And that was kind of like what my brother really envisioned. And that was also something that I envisioned too. So funding was the first difficulty, but we were able to overcome that. I think the hardest was our liquor license and licensing.
Mm,
That was just difficult because there had been other people in the space that weren't necessarily doing what they were supposed to do. I guess. I mean, I didn't really get the full story of that, but long story short, the neighborhood wasn't really accepting of another any kind of nightlife, and they just thought that it was going to be like a club and would cause rowdiness. So there was a space downtown that had brought a chaos to people, so they say. And with that being said, they were just apprehensive to let people in. So with the liquor license process in St. Louis, you have to get the signatures from neighborhood organizations,
mm,
residents, business owners, and property owners. So it's quite a task finding all of those people. You go to the excise commission, they give you this list of people, and some of them are just registered voters. They don't even own the property.
mm.
So you just have to find it, right? So it's a systematic justice. My wife helped me out quite a bit with putting
Shout out
together
to
the
wifey.
list, going out and helping get some of the signatures. I got some of the signatures too. We
Hmm.
just got neighborhood support. So it turned into this huge thing where we needed the community to get behind us. We needed their support. We needed to get the buy-in of everybody that lived around us.
Hmm.
So that somehow snowballed into a general consensus that this process is very tedious and it's
Mm,
not helping business owners. So, unbeknownst to me, there was already a campaign going on that was working on making that process more streamlined for restaurant owners. So, you wouldn't have to go around and get all these signatures and do all of these things. That was already working in the background. But
mm,
my story just was set up as an example of it. And when they asked me to be part of that movement or that
mhm,
campaign, I said gladly yes. They asked me after I'd gotten my signatures and gotten everything, so I got my liquor license. But then I was already in the door, and then somebody came and said, "Look, it's very hard for other people to get in. Can
mm.
you help us?" And I said, "You know what? Why not?" So I sat in on a couple meetings, and that bill was passed to make that the liquor license process a little easier. But that's like the story. That's the most difficult thing that I went through, I'd say, with opening up Levels.
And that really kind of brings me to my next question because you said something, paving a path for others to come so that they
Mhm.
don't go through what you went through. So,
Yeah.
as a Black entrepreneur, what are some of those unique barriers that you face besides the signing
Mhm.
that you would advise other entrepreneurs, to not give up as they're trying to establish their own business like you did?
As Black entrepreneurs, I'll take a different like approach to this. Like, I just think that we need to focus on excellence.
Mm,
And it's hard to do maybe, but I believe that as Black folks, we're the biggest consumers in the world.
mm,
But we consume what we like, and we go back to it if we have um, name recognition, if we enjoy the product, and if the
mhm,
product is consistent. And I
mhm,
think that as Black business owners, sometimes we want that buy-in from our customers because we're a Black business. I don't think that's enough. I think that as a Black business, you need to focus on being excellent, being providing a good product that's consistent, that people know what it looks like and they know what to expect, and doing that
mhm,
over and over again.
mhm,
So I think that the unique challenge for us sometimes is that we kind of set our bar low and say, oh, well, we're just gonna do it. We're gonna just get it going, and hopefully people come visit us because we're a black business. I don't think that's people's entire mindset, but sometimes I think that we lean on that a little bit too much. So for me and mine, and I know that we're not perfect. We're far from perfect, and we're far from excellent. I think we're trying to get there, but we strive for it every time. So I know that's a kind of a different angle, but I think that that is a unique challenge for us to get over. And and then there's some other things that are like systematic, like us getting funding.
Mm.
Uh, it's easier for folks of other demographics to get funding sometimes. Some of it maybe might be we don't have all our structure together, we don't have our credit together, whatever the case may be. But historically, it's just been more difficult. I was in a position where my brother was able to fund me, but
Mm.
I went to a couple banks to get funding beforehand. And when I tell you they ran me through the ringer
Mm.
and then said no,
Wow.
I gave them everything. They asked for all of the things and they were like, no, ultimately no, right? So I think that that's another unique challenge that we face because it's not the easiest to get funding. Those are some things that come to mind. I don't know if I was able to
No, you
answer.
did. And I mean, for those who haven't visited, Levels is a great restaurant. I've been there a few times myself.
Yep.
I love the artwork. I love the decor. It really makes me feel like I'm in Lagos. I love the art on the wall, the downfall
Mm.
boys going up the stairs.
Yes,
Um,
so I
so
mean, I don't know if you guys are gonna include like pictures of the space or anything like that, but you know, just invite people to come, Sha. They come enjoy it.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I guess what I wanted to ask you next is, what really sets Level apart? Not just in the food that you're serving, but the experience that you're trying to build.
Yeah, one thing that kind of came to us a little later is the art. I think that we're trying to expose people that have not been exposed to Nigerian culture. We're trying to expose the art, the food, and the music. I think that having that three-pronged approach kind of culminates an experience for people.
Mm,
They come in, they have a welcoming environment that looks amazing. They get to look at art before or after their meal. So if like there's a wait time, you can go upstairs, check out the art before your food comes, or before you even get seated, or after dinner, you can go check out the art. And then I also like the fact that there's a story behind it. Like the art
mm,
parts of the art gallery are art pieces that my family just brought from Nigeria. So just things that spoke to us. And then the other side is for local artists in St. Louis. So we rotate the art gallery on the left side every quarter. Right now we missed one quarter, but every quarter we rotated with another artist that submits their work and is willing
mm.
to have their work live there. 100% sales go to the artist, so that's
Wow,
kind of like the
I
idea
can
to get
bet.
them to come back. We don't keep any of that,
That's
and I
awesome.
think that when you tell that story and people are seeing everything, it kind of like transports you a little bit. We also started doing this thing where we have these videos of Nigeria
Mm,
and we play them on all the screens. So when you're walking in, you're seeing like a marketplace or whatever is going on, and
mhm,
you kind of feel like you're being transported. I think that
mm.
I use the word again, transportive experience kind of makes you feel like, oh, I just traveled somewhere else. And that's what we've been hearing from customers over and over again. I think the idea that we're trying to push that, the fact the fact that all of our staff,
Mhm.
they're well aware of that and they're trying to, still give that experience. I think
Of
that
course.
that effort and all of that just kind of is a perfect storm and just makes people feel like they just left the country. They're not even in downtown St. Louis anymore. And when I hear that, I feel very, very accomplished, like we're actually hitting the mark on what we set out to do.
That's awesome, man. So what's next for Levels? I mean, you guys have done such an amazing job in the last 2 years. Where do you see you guys 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
5 years from
Mm,
now, I'll just say that I want to get more corporate partnerships.
okay.
I mentioned earlier that Levels is also a real estate deal. So as we're tracking the progress downtown St. Louis, we want to be a part of that development.
mm,
as new things are being built, new ideas are being pumped into downtown St. Louis. I think that there's a narrative. Well, I won't say a narrative. There's an intentional push to develop downtown St. Louis,
mm,
and us being in a prime position, we want to make sure that we're developing as things are happening. So Levels is actually a four-story building. The
okay.
first the first two floors are complete. The first floor being the restaurant, second floor being the art gallery, kind of like a mezzanine. The
Mm-hmm.
third floor, we're thinking about putting a lounge up there, a speakeasy type lounge,
Mm.
where it's like it's there, but it's not really there. So that way, that's more of like a 21 plus vibe.
Levels. Okay.
Small plates, yeah, small plates. Just
Uh,
kind of crafted cocktails, that kind of idea. And
okay.
then the fourth floor, we wanted to do like a media studio where we have a podcast studio, so we can shoot this at on the fourth floor,
Awesome.
and a photo studio and a boardroom where we can have meetings, and
Wow.
all of it is going to be able to be leased out. So that's my vision. I'm hoping that that's completed before 5 years.
Okay.
But within 5 years, maybe open up another location, build our corporate partnerships, make sure
Mm,
that we're able to have Levels as a staple brand, not just in St. Louis. Our idea is that we want this to be seen all over the country and admired, and people will have that brand name recognition. Like if we open up a Levels in Atlanta, the people are like, "Oh yeah, we know exactly what this is."
oh
So
no, the mogul.
we're trying our best. we're trying our
I'm
best.
happy to hear, man. I mean,
Thank you,
just
brother. Thank
hearing
you.
the vision, the story to come is really very motivating.
Thank you,
Um,
brother.
which really takes me to my next question for you is
Mhm.
if there's somebody who has a big dream but is stuck in a small place and is looking
Mhm.
at you, what advice would you give them? How did you come from working for corporate America and going from job to job to now this
Mhm.
successful entrepreneur, and how can they not so carbon copy what you're doing but follow that blueprint?
You know, you won't know unless you try.
Hmm.
A lot of people, they are, they have these big dreams, but they're afraid to like take that first step
Yeah.
because they might fail, you know. And yes, we have situations where I ended up being a success with this, but I failed at a couple of things before this.
Hmm.
But I would have never known that this was gonna work unless I kept on trying
Hmm.
at the things that I loved.
Okay.
And so with a business mindset, I always wanted to get into business. And I remember as a 22, 23-year old, I told my older brother that's a dentist that invested in me eventually. Told him
Hmm.
I wanted to do business. This was before all of the jobs. This is before engineering. And he said, "You're not ready for that." He was like, "You
Hmm.
want to do business? How are you going to do it? Like, do you have any money?" I was like, "No." He was like, "So you can't do business?" He was like, "I said I can't." He said, "You're not ready." And I said, "Okay." And I felt dejected, but at the same time, I was like, "What did he mean by that?" And I think that he said a couple of things to me that I didn't know that he was saying, but as life progressed, it started to make sense. So one, you're not ready, meaning that if you started a business right now, do you even know the structure of a business? Do you
Hmm.
even know how you're gonna really pilot this thing and put it out there? Do you really know how to do that? No.
Hmm.
You know where I learned that? I learned that from working for big companies.
Hmm.
You get a structure. You get you get, when I mean structure, you think
Hmm.
about hierarchies, you think about employment practices, you think about all of these things. You see that as an employee.
Hmm.
So working at Boeing taught me a lot of that. And then I left Boeing and started Amazon. And Amazon was kind of like, it was a business on its own, which I didn't do very good at. I made some money, but I didn't do very good at. I have to be honest. But what that did for me was to show me what it looks like when you don't do well.
Hmm.
And then it also showed me it was like a it was like a crucible of fire where you're learning how to run a business like right now.
Hmm.
And they gave me the wheel. They said, drive, figure it out. And I did that. I did it for about a year and a half. I was able to navigate and do it to the best of my abilities, but ultimately I didn't feel like I did very well, you know but that was a lesson for me to say, okay, I know what it looks like when you don't do well. I've gotten some experience with business structure. I've gotten some experience with working with a big company and seeing how they're processing things and
Mm-hmm.
doing things. I said, okay, well let's take another leap of faith. And when I took this next leap of faith, I think I had more tools in my tool shed to where now I could say, okay, I've been there before. I know that's not gonna work. I know that's that's an issue there. And I was just able to. I had a better lens of opening up a business. And then and then I came back to him and I said, hey, you've seen me work for all these years. It was like maybe like 8 years later when we came back to
Mm-hmm.
talk about doing a business. And he was like, what do you want to do? And I told him. He said, okay. And then when I told him that we were gonna buy the space, I think that really like got him locked in because he was like, okay, now this is a real estate deal. Win, lose, or draw, we have a building that we can, that we can offload and recoup money or whatever the case may be, right? Real
Mm-hmm.
estate is like a very great vehicle to park, to invest in.
Of
I don't
course.
want to say park money, but literally the money is there.
Mm-hmm.
The real estate rarely goes downward.
It goes up. Yeah.
Typically, it goes up, and it might not go up much, but at least you still have the value of your building. So I
Of
know I
course.
said quite a bit, but I'm just just to reel it back. Like if you don't try, you don't know. You won't know.
Mm.
So take that first step, try it, and some people say fail fast. I think it's good to fail sometimes because
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you never try, you're just never gonna know.
I mean,
So
as you were talking, I was thinking, like, I can't imagine what your parents were saying as you were going through this journey. I'm,
oh man,
I'm sure they're like, this guy
I love
left
them dearly.
engineering,
Yeah, I
he's
love them
doing
dearly.
Amazon now, and now he wants to run a restaurant. What is going on?
Yeah,
You know,
I
I'm sure
they
you had some of those conversations
I did.
among family and friends, and even your wife. So, how did you convince them to just trust the process along the way?
you know, with my family, I think that it was I had a little bit more buy-in from them when they knew that my other brother was investing.
Okay.
So they were like, okay, something must be because he's super successful. So it's like, okay, maybe maybe he has something going on.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one. But I think that in general, as the last of five, I think that they just knew that I was eventually going to do my own thing and I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
going to fit the mold of what everybody else was doing. So was it hard? Yes. They definitely side eyed me quite a bit. I
Mm-hmm.
think Amazon was tough, and they saw how hard it was for me. But they saw how hard I worked, and in things that I believe in, I will do everything I need to do to get it done.
Yeah.
So when they saw that and they said, okay, he's starting something else, they knew that I was gonna do everything I needed to do to get it done. And I think that my mom and dad just believed in me. And during the after the grand, they didn't make it to the grand opening, but after the grand opening, when they came and sat down and ate and saw what we had produced, they were like, yes, we're proud of our son. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
done something very, very special. And then I think my mom, one of her favorite things is like just going out. Like she goes to the grocery store sometimes, and if levels ever comes up in conversation, somebody the person across from her is like, "Oh, I know that place. I've been there," or
Mm-hmm.
my daughter loves that place, or whatever the case may be. And then
It's
she like says proudly, like, "That's my son. My son's on it." And so
good to
I,
hear,
and
man.
we she went to the barber shop to take my nephew to get his haircut, and they were doing a rerun of one of our broadcasts on TV.
Mm.
And literally the barber is looking up, and I had come in before with my nephew to get his haircut, and he looks up and he's like, "Isn't that your uncle?" And my mom looks up and says, "Yeah, that's my son." He was talking to my nephew,
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
"Isn't that your uncle?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's my uncle." And then my mom looks up like, "Yeah, that's my son." So cool
Hmm.
moments like that. I'm sure that they're proud. Of
Mm.
course, the journey was difficult. You heard about the whole thing where if you're not a doctor, engineer,
Yeah.
lawyer, you have not done anything. So we checked the box with the engineer, and then we were like, okay,
But
I
I
think
think
we're good now.
what sticks out so much to me is that you carved out your own path. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't
Mm-hmm.
really let any box define what you were going to do. And
Yeah.
in that process, as I was kind of watching from my own sideline,
Mm-hmm.
is there was never a moment of, oh, I'm ashamed. I'm no longer an engineer. I'm doing Amazon. Like you carried quote unquote the world along with your journey through the success, through the struggles. To see you accomplish what you've accomplished, man, is amazing to see, man.
Thank you, brother.
Um, yeah, for sure. I have a few more rapid fire questions.
Sure.
The first one that I want to ask is, and this may not really be a rapid fire. Everybody that comes on the show, I like to ask them this question: who
Mm-hmm.
is your underdog? It could be sports, it could be somebody in life, somebody, some story that inspired you. Like, okay, man, this person has resilience. I'm not gonna give up either.
Man.
Yeah.
Uh, I somebody that I heard his story and I thought it was an underdog story is Sadio Mane. Sadio
Okay.
Mane is a soccer player. I believe he's from Senegal. He played for Liverpool. Just made a ton of money, but just came from a very, very like poor background.
Mm,
And what makes his story special is that he doesn't. He's not a like a big spender. Like,
okay.
and he spends a lot of his money on his home country. Like he's built like schools. He sends money back all the time.
Mm,
I randomly stumbled on his story, and that was inspiring for somebody to start from where they did and then make it to the English Premier League,
mm,
do all these amazing things, win all these ways amazing awards, and then give back so much. And most of the time, just I mean, he just says, all this money I have, I don't need all of this, so I'm gonna
mm.
share it with people. So I think that was a pretty cool story, and I'd say that's my underdog. Since it's a rapid fire, that was rapid fire for me. So, so that's my answer.
I got three more rapid fire for you. Okay, what does the word resilience mean to you?
Resilience is never giving up, and in the face of adversity, um, just putting your head down and keeping keep going. So that's what resilience means to me. I to add to
Okay,
that's that I think simply put, just not
okay,
giving up.
awesome. Next question: describe levels in one word and explain why.
Culture.
Hmm. And why?
And why?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the root of what we're trying to do is just make sure that our culture is on the map and we're exposing it. I mean, it already is,
Mhm.
but we just want to be in a position where we're waving that flag very high.
Hmm.
And so that, I mean, simply put, that's what we want to do.
Awesome. And last question, but not least, what dish at levels represents your journey the most?
This one I do.
You gotta
This one
pick
I
one.
do.
You gotta pick one.
Uh,
I know
you
they're all
know,
good.
no, 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 no. I like it though. It's a very good question. Golly. I'd just say the party jollof. The party
Okay.
jollof plate
All
is
right.
represents us the most
Okay.
because it has different elements to it, right?
Okay.
It's the closest thing that we have to a platter where you can have the jollof rice, you can have your choice of meat, you
Mm.
can have eforiro or coleslaw, and
Yep.
you have plantains.
Mm.
So I feel like with what we're offering at levels in general is that we're just not a one note type of situation. We have different things that you
Mm.
can enjoy when you come into the space. So I think, and then also at in the root of it all, it's a Nigerian dish. So it's still representing the culture and giving you different aspects of it through one plate. So I'd
Well,
say that's
with
a
that,
representative dish.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. With that said, Party Jollof, I'd like to
Mhm.
thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate, what your journey and sharing your story with us.
Absolutely.
Um, and in the words of P Squared,
ECO.
easy.
Oh, boom. Say hi.